right, well, we have that big Padres-Dodgers series this weekend in Los Angeles, Nika, and one player who will be there for sure is Fernando Tatis Jr., the right fielder for the San Diego Padres. And, if you look at this at its face value, you can see Fernando here in his 2025 season has put up 5.0 of WAR already, wins above replacement. And we're not going to get into a whole explainer about what WAR is right now, but you can go look that up if you're curious. But 5.0 is a really good mark for this point of the year. I think he is 7th overall in the entire major leagues as far as position players go.
Okay.
Pretty damn impressive. However, if you look across the board, I would say that the numbers are just down when it comes to batting average, home run power, even RBIs, stolen bases. For someone that's played in every single game pretty much this year, you would expect Fernando to have at least 25, not 30 home runs already by now going into this final push. He's supposed to be at his best and at his healthiest, a 40 home run a season guy.
Sure, but he got hit so many times by a pitch this season. That's going to affect your gameplay.
No doubt. I'm not discounting it. However, I would only argue back that if you were to watch Fernando, even yesterday, in fact, let's flip to the next slide, because you can see over his last 5 games, he's gotten a hit every single game, and 4 out of the 5 were multi-hit games. He was on base 4 times yesterday, 2 hits, 2 walks. He's getting on base a lot. He's doing his job as a leadoff hitter, I would say. The one thing that I think nobody would deny with their own 2 eyes is Fernando's getting not a lot of lift on the ball right now. He is hitting a lot of damn ground balls and a lot of ground outs in between. And it's been an ongoing problem now. Like, he's only hit 4 home runs since May 28th or something.
That's a problem. That
is something we would like to get fixed, I think, getting into the postseason. When we saw what he is capable of doing last year, he ignited the crowd, and high theatrics and drama and playoff moments, and no offense, but he's got to get his swing back before he's going to be able to do that for us in those big moments, right?
Absolutely.
So this has been going on and it's been happening, and there's a lot of chatter on Padres Twitter about what's wrong and how to fix it, and that he looks lost at the plate. And it's really hard to say that about a guy who's hitting 266, right? But we know he can be better, and we think also that he wants to be better, right? He said that his dad told him he wasn't a good hitter in the offseason and that he needs to be a 300 hitter. Well, if you remember from the previous slide, his career average is 11 points lower this year than it is in his career. So growing pains possibly happening here. We've seen Fernando change his swing this year. We've seen him, have no leg kick, then a leg kick, and now he's not leg kicking again. He had an open stance. Now, lately, if you've been watching, he has a closed stance.
So he's trying to figure things out.
But it drives me nuts a little bit because I feel like I'm a Pete Rose guy, and whatever you think about Pete Rose, the one thing I always loved that he said about hitting was that he never changed his stance and never changed his swing. He said, your swing is what got you to the big leagues in the first place. The only adjustments he ever made were he scooted up in the box, he scooted back in the box, he scooted closer to the plate or further away from the plate. Hope that I made that clear. But those are the only 4 adjustments he ever made.
Not
up,
the swing.
down, left, right. That's it.
Not the way you swing.
Not his swing.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this, and yesterday I saw something on MLB Network kind of out of the blue, and I was like, this is what Fernando needs to do in order to fix himself.
Okay.
So bear with us here. Let's listen to the Hall of Famer, Albert Pujols. And they were talking about Ohtani, of all people. And one thing about Ohtani that he does so well and that I'm envious of is his opposite field power and just his ability to drive the ball to all fields with power. And it's something that I think Fernando needs to find. And how do you find that? I think we might have an answer here from Hall of Famer, 700 plus home runs, Albert Pujols.
All right.
I can use the tee here since we have it here, but a lot of hitting coaches don't like the tee. This is my bread and butter. I mean, whenever I was struggling, I go to the cage and use the tee because when you're trying to find your swing, what do you want to do? Build consistent. You want to be consistent on the swing. And I feel like if I had the ball in the tee, no movement at all, I'm going to repeat the swing over and over and over. You know, and I had this little routine where I put the ball on the outside, on the play in the corner.
So I want to point this out. Look at how deep the ball is right now. It's over the plate, right? And it's on the outside corner. And when you are trying to hit the ball that's on the outside corner, you should be trying to hit that ball to the opposite field. You want to, that's what's called going with the pitch. That's what's called hitting the pitch where it's being pitched to you, you know, versus like a pitch that is on the inside corner. You're going to want to make contact with that ball out in front of the plate. So this is my main point, is like that no two swings are the same, you know, and like you need at least the contact plane and the contact point. Like your contact point is way sooner on an inside pitch than it is on an outside pitch.
Okay.
And then you have to factor in speed variations. Like what if it's an outside pitch that's a curveball? Then you have that factored into it. Anyways, let the video continue.
Okay.
I think you guys saw it. Vladdy has the same routine because we talked Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and over the All-Star game a couple of weeks ago, we break it down. But I just started with my back foot here, let that ball get deep, you know, boom. And then take about 5 or 10 swing and just try to focus on hitting the ball the other way. Then I move it to the middle. And the same spot, which is tough, you know, same thing, just try to let the ball get deep. I don't say that in the game, you're going to let the ball get this deep. Right. Again, you're going to catch it here in front. But what that prepares you, you know, that time that we do let the ball get so deep, you train your body so hard that you're going to react to the base when you're going to hit a bullet on the gap or maybe a line drive over first base head. So I'm not a big fan about catching the ball in front here, because if I train this on hitting and coming and getting, before you know, you start drifting the body forward. And now you're catching the ball way too much in front.
Right, and I think sometimes too.
Can you pause it for a second? This is exactly what Fernando's doing. And this is why he's hitting so many weak ground ball outs. I mean, he hits the ball hard still, but he is hitting the ball on the outside corner to the shortstop. He needs to be hitting that ball to the second base, right field, first base side of the field. He's hitting the ball hard. He's just not hitting it where it's pitched. He's trying to pull the ball that's on the outside corner, and he's rolling over it. Just as Albert's talking, he shows him visually. You know, you see where he puts the bat head out in front of the plate on the outside pitch. If you watch Fernando roll over right now, that's exactly where he's making contact with the ball. Exactly. So that's what jumped out at me about this. I was like, oh, maybe Fernando just needs to use the tee. And you hear Albert talking earlier about how he got laughed at for using the tee. Let's continue here because he's going to address that again.
With the pitching nowadays too, I mean, guys make their money. I feel like the best pitchers make their money in that last 5 feet with the balls cutting and sinking.
A lot of movement.
So visually, if I'm working on letting the ball get deeper, I'm visually better on a take. I mean, that ball's sinking, I'm going to take it. So I love what you said. And what do you think nowadays too? A lot of organizations don't like using tees. There's organizations out there now that their tees aren't even in the minor leagues.
I remember when I went with the Dodgers after I got released with the Angels. You know, Robert and the hitting coaches, they really didn't like it. And I remember some of the guys say, well, what are you going to tell Albert right now? Not to use the tee? But this is something that I did in the minor league. And this game is about making adjustment. What gets you prepared for the game, and the tee was the best thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man, and I agree. And like, it's the one spot that you can work on things all the time and get your.
And I shared with you early, like this is what I used to do. I put the ball in the middle, and I try to play a little game in my mind. Just drive the ball back to the middle on the line, like line drive. And my goal was try to hit 10 in a row. If I don't hit 10 in a row, like I go back to 0. Sometimes I used to have 9. I need one more and boom, make it out.
Start over.
And if I told myself, if I pop that ball up in the air, you know, it was an out, and I start back over.
You know what? This reminds me, this is like a video game. You should just go and do it over and over till you get the score you want and move on.
Yeah, I think this is a generational thing as well. I feel like sometimes some of the newer players,
Zero
don't have the
patience.
patience to actually sit there and do what he's talking about. This reminds me of a basketball player that's like, I'm not leaving the gym until I make 100 free throws in a row.
Right.
And if I miss one, I got to start over. And
Very similar.
it sounds like the same exact thing. And that's how, that's how it becomes repetition, and it becomes
Muscle
just second
memory.
nature for these guys to do what they do. That's how Albert Pujols was able to make it look so easy for so many years.
And who's going to tell him no?
Well, apparently Dave Roberts looked at him funny, which it
Whoa.
just tell me something I don't know about the Dodgers organization. But I'm more worried about the Padres organization. And, I feel like whatever's happening with Fernando, has anyone just decided to get the damn tee out yet with him?
Maybe after this video they will.
Well, I hope so, because he needs it. That's all he needs. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced that if he went in starting tomorrow or today even and said, I'm going to do what Albert did. I'm going to take 5 to 10 swings off of the tee, and I'm going to do it across the inside corner, the middle of the plate, and the outside corner. When I saw this video yesterday, I was reminded of my dad, of course, doing this same drill with me. This is how I learn to hit to the opposite field. You have to let the ball travel deeper. And I think guys like Fernando and other players they want to jack that inside pitch so bad, because it's so easy for them to hit a home run if they just get a meatball over the inside edge. It's a lot more difficult to hit a home run to the opposite field, especially in the major leagues, with a wooden bat. But the way you do it is you let the ball travel deeper, and that's how you drive the ball to the opposite field. You know who's doing a good job of this over the past week is Jackson Merrill, actually. And it's helped him find his power stroke. And it's where he hit the ball for power last year so well. People remember the home runs against Mason Miller and against Edwin Diaz that were late in the game and memorable, but people forget about the home runs that were to left center field. And that's where Jackson Merrill lived a lot of last year to success. And even in the playoffs against the Dodgers, hitting a home run that way. So when I saw this video yesterday, not only was I reminded of my dad, I was reminded of the late, great Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre himself. And it was kind of sad to me that, I wish he was around right now to be in Fernando's ear, to help him, because he would be, I mean, he played with the Padres his whole life. No one probably would think that he would not be there. He loved baseball, and he loved teaching. And this video that I'm about to show you proves it, because here is Tony Gwynn basically saying the same exact thing as Albert Pujols, but just a little bit differently.
Okay.
Let's hear from the Hall of Famer and the late, great Tony Gwynn.
I'm going to talk about drills now, and one of my favorite drills to do when I was struggling, when I was going good, was hitting off the tee. And the tee itself is the hitting area. The tee, you can move the tee wherever you need to move it. And I used to start out with what I would call the toughest pitch to hit, which was, a ball that was down in the zone on the outside part of the plate. That's kind of the most difficult ball to hit, because when you hit this ball, it's the latest that you could hit a ball and hit it fair somewhere. So this is the ball that I would start on. I'd put the ball in the center of my stance. I would practice my load, getting my hands back and setting my foot down. And then I would just practice taking the knob of the bat to the baseball, palm is up at contact, follow through, hitting through the baseball, and finishing strong. This ball right here for me has to go the other way, because I cannot try to take this ball and try to pull it. I have to hit this ball the other way. But as you started to do the drill, you would move the hitting area. And as you moved the hitting area began to its furthest point forward, which was the ball that's inside. And that's the ball that I could pull. And so I would start with the hardest ball first, move it forward to the easier ball, which is the one everybody wants to hit, fastball in. And in doing this every day, it really kind of helped me learn how to repeat my swing. So hitting off the tee, for me, is really one of my favorite drills.
Nice.
Man, I just love the way he explains it and visualize it. He explains it perfectly. He shows you where these different contact planes I was talking about, whether it's out in front of the plate or letting it travel farther over the plate. deeper in the zone. That's what they were talking about in the previous video with Albert, is like letting the ball travel deeper. You see here the visual of it a lot clearer, what he's talking about with Tony. So I think it's funny too. You have Albert Pujols, a monster 700 home run plus hitter in his career. And you also have Tony Gwynn, who was not the most prolific power hitter in his career, but was more of a high average guy like a Luis Arraez, Rod Carew, George Brett. You know, some of those guys are from the past, some are from the modern day. Stephen Kwan would even probably qualify as a Tony Gwynn-esque hitter. I'm not saying he's as good as Tony Gwynn was, but same kind of caliber. I bet you Tony Gwynn's bat speed was slow. You know how that Luis Arraez and Stephen Kwan have slow bat? I bet Tony Gwynn had a slow bat speed as well. Maybe we'll be able to analyze the historical footage one day and be able to spit out some numbers. Who knows? But
He made contact. That's what it mattered.
He was a contact hitter. And that's my point, is whether you're a contact hitter or whether you're a power hitter, these same principles and philosophies apply.
Mm-hmm. And you need both.
And this is why I think Fernando should just go and do these drills that Tony Gwynn and Albert Pujols are suggesting, and do them over and over and over to the point where it is etched into your muscle memory, and stop changing your damn swing.
It's a great advice.
Stop getting bored with baseball to the point where you're changing up your swing, and dedicate yourself to this going forward. If you ever start struggling, you should immediately go and do tee work.
Great advice. Hopefully he hears it.
Hopefully, before the Dodgers series gets going this weekend.
Yep.